Hey guys, it's not true. Welcome back to our YouTube channel. Before you watch this video, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn on your notification bells because we post videos every week and miss out on that taraku. Before we discuss today's lesson, because we discussed the size and shape of Africa. So if you missed that video, the link will be right down in the description box. So make sure to watch that before you watch this video. አሁን we're going to be discussing latitudes and longitudes ማለት ነው ከዛኛው ለሰናችን የቀጠለ so let's get right into it መጀመሪያ ዲስከስ የምናደርገው concept is latitudes እና parallels የሚል concept ነው ማለት ነው before we discuss all these all these concepts I want you to know that latitudes, parallels, meridians, everything that we're going to be discussing today are actually all imaginary lines and they don't exist in real terms. They're just something cartographers came up with to make map making easier. Cartographers are people who make maps. So, latitudes are angular distances. Latitudes and parallels. Latitudes are angular distances measured north and south of the equator in degrees minus now. To measure latitudes, equal distances from the equator are marked off by parallels, which are imaginary circles that go around the Earth parallel to the equator. Like the equator, parallels run in an east-west direction. In addition, parallels are closer and smaller at the north or south pole. ስለዚህ latitudes are measured north and south of the equator ማለት ነው. ከዛ ደግሞ to measure latitudes, we're going to be measuring equal distances from the equator. By marked off by parallels. Parallels ደግሞ as they get closer to the northern and south pole, they become smaller and more ይጠጋጋሉ እያነሱ ነው የሚሄዱት ማለት ነው። አሁን እዚህ ጋር ደግሞ we're going to be discussing parallels briefly በደንብ እንዲገባን ማለት ነው። Parallels are imaginary lines drawn on globes or maps joining all points with the same latitude degree, north and south of the equator. Since the equator is the origin of latitude, it's numbered 0 degrees. Places north of the equator have a north latitude and places south of the equator have a south latitude. The north and the south pole are the most distant points from the equator. ስለዚህ equator, it divides the earth into half, right? ከዛ ስለዚህ it's the origin of latitude. ከዛ ከላይ ያሉትና ከታች ያሉት latitudes, they are measured from the equator, right? The equator is measured 0 degrees. Places north of the equator, north latitude ያላቸው, places south of the equator ደግሞ south latitude ያላቸው ማለት ነው. The north and south pole ደግሞ they're the most distant points, እኩል distance ያላቸው from the equator. They are 90 degree north and 90 degree south ነው የሚገኙት ማለት ነው. በላቲቱድ አንጻር measure ሲደረግ the location of a place is relative to the equator determines the amount of sunlight it receives. These lines are used as benchmarks for telling the amount of sunlight reaching various parts of the Earth's surface. Ahun, we're going to be discussing types of latitudes and into the amount of regions that latitudes classify the Earth's surface into. So low latitudes or tropics የሚባሉ አሉ. So, the equator receives more direct sunlight than any place on Earth. ቅድም እንዳልነው the location relative to the equator determines the amount of sunlight the place receives. ስለዚህ the equator ጋር ካለን we receive more direct sunlight than any place on Earth ማለት ነው. ስለዚህ areas near the equator ሙሉ ዓመቱን direct sunlight ስላላቸው they're hot all year round. Both the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn receive direct vertical sun rays. This happens on solstices. ስለዚህ equal distance from the equator የሚገኙ ሁለት latitudes አሉ ማለት ነው። እነዚህ latitudes they're called Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. Tropic of Capricorn በሳውዝ በኩል ያለው ነው። Tropic of Cancer ደግሞ በላይ በኩል ያለው ነው፣ በኖርዝ በኩል ያለው ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ on solstice vertical sun rays receive ያደርጋሉ ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ the area between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn is called the low latitudes or the tropics ማለት ነው። እንደምናውቀው ሁላችንም ደግሞ last video ላይ እንዳልነው much of Africa is found within the low latitudes or tropics. ስለዚህ much of Africa is usually hot all year round ማለት ነው። እሺ middle latitudes or temperate regions ደግሞ የሚባሉት between the Tropic of Capricorn and the Arctic Circle in the north and the Tropic of Capricorn and the Antarctic Circle in the south ነው የሚገኙት ማለት ነው። We're going to be looking at it, the figure later on in this video, like 2 minutes later. High latitudes and the Arctic and Antarctic Circle ደግሞ የሚባሉት they both have at least 1 day of complete sunlight and darkness each year. ይሄ ሶልስቲስ ላይ ነው የሚፈጠረው ማለት ነው። ቅድም እንዳልነው ሶልስቲስ ላይ ሎው ላቲቲዩድ ኦር ትሮፒክስ ላይ vertical sun rays receive ያደርጋሉ። ወደ high latitudes ደግሞ ስንመጣ ሶልስቲስ ላይ they have at least 1 day of complete darkness or 1 day of complete sunlight ማለት ነው። Beyond the Arctic and Antarctic Circle are the high latitudes or polar regions. These areas receive little heat from the sun and therefore they're cold. በኖርዝም በሳውዝም በኩል each year both north and south poles have 6 months of daylight and 6 months of darkness. እሺ አሁን ቅድም ያልኳችሁ low latitudes or tropics የሚባለው between the Tropic of Capricorn and the Tropic of Cancer ነው የሚገኘው this region ማለት ነው። ከዛ between the Arctic Circle and the Tropic of Cancer እና በካፕሪኮርን እና በአንታርክቲክ መሀል ደግሞ ያለው ሚድል ላቲቲዩድ የሚባለው ቦታ ነው ማለት ነው። ቴምፕሬት ክላይሜት ሞስትሊ ኤግዚቢት የሚያደርገው ከዛ እላይ ደግሞ ያለው ሃይ ላቲቲዩድ የምንለው ነው ማለት ነው። which is like mostly cold and like humans don't actually inhabit the areas. ስለዚህ if that was clear, if you have any questions, make sure to comment them down below and I will be answering them. Ahun, we're going to be discussing longitudes and meridians, and we have a figure right here, so that should be easier. Longitudes are angular distances measured east and west of the prime meridian in degrees. So prime meridian እችኛዋ ናት መሀል ያለችው የደመቀችዋ መስመር ናት ማለት ነው። prime meridian ከ0 ዲግሪ ነው የምትጀምረው right? ስለዚህ longitudes ደግሞ they're measured east and west of the prime meridian ማለት ነው። Meridians are imaginary lines drawn on globes or maps joining all points of the same longitude and degrees. All meridians extend from the North Pole ከላይ ይጀምራሉ to the South Pole ማለት ነው። ከላይ ወደ ታች ነው run የሚያደርጉት። ስለዚህ each meridian is a semicircle covering half of the Earth's circumference. ከዛ the distance between these meridians ነው longitude የሚባለው ማለት ነው። እዚህ አሁን more the prime meridian discuss እናደርገዋለን so that it makes everything clear. So the prime meridian or 0 degree longitude is a natural midpoint like the equator. ቅድማውን ካስታወሳችሁ latitude measure ስናደርግ we measure it from the equator ብለናል። equator 0 degree ላይ ነው ያለነው ብለናል በlatitude terms ስናስበው ማለት ነው። አሁን ደግሞ እዚህ ጋር በlongitude ስናስበው it's like the opposite. It's like the exact same thing of the prime meridian but from north to south ነው ይሄኛው run የሚያደርገው ማለት ነው። So there's a natural midpoint like the equator from which longitude can be measured, but most countries have agreed to use a meridian that runs from the North Pole to the South Pole through the Royal Observatory at Greenwich. This meridian is called prime meridian. ስለዚህ Greenwich የሚባል city አለ እና most countries have agreed ከዛ ጀምረው longitude measure ለማድረግ ማለት ነው። All other meridians are labeled in degrees east or west of the prime meridian. The Earth being a circle is divided in 360 degrees of longitude. ስለዚህ prime meridian ልክ እንደ equator Earthን ወደ ሁለት ቦታ ይከፍለዋል ማለት ነው። ከዛ the half of the Earth that lies east of the prime meridian has east longitude of up to 180 degrees. And the half that lies west of the prime meridian has west longitude of 180 degrees. So if anything isn't clear, you can, like I said, you can comment down below, but I really hope it is clear. So Ahun, our last lesson for the day is going to be called local mean time. The time varies with longitude. The Earth rotates on its axis from west to east. ስለዚህ የእርዝ rotation is from west to east. The motion of the Earth determines the length of the day. All places on the face of the Earth see the sun apparently rising in the east and settling in the west. Each day in its path, the sun moves across the sky at its zenith. So let's see, the sun moves across the sky at its zenith, and it rises in the east and it sets in the west. The motion of the Earth determines the length of the day. የቀኑን ርዝመት determine የሚያደርገው የእርዝ እንቅስቃሴ ነው ማለት ነው። This happens at noontime. All places located along a given meridian see the sun equally. They also have similar noon times, but the east or west of this line will see the sun differently. ስለዚህ ቆይ ላሳያችኋል። So the places found west of the prime meridian አሁን ለምሳሌ are going to be seeing the sunrise at the same time, but the places east of the meridian ደግሞ they're going to be seeing it at a different time. እነሱም equally ነው የሚያዩት ግን they're different from this ones ማለት ነው, if that makes sense. በዚያ በኩል ያሉት countries they see it at the same time. በዚያ በኩል ያሉትም they see it at the same time, but the two of them don't see it at the same time ማለት ነው. I hope that makes sense. They also have similar noon time, but the east or west of this line will see the sun differently, like I said that one. Due to the longitudinal variations in time, places vary local mean time. For example, the Earth completes one rotation or 360 degrees in 24 hours. This means every 15 degrees equals 1 and 4 minutes for a degree month. And places east of the meridional position to the sun will be ahead of places to the west. ስለዚህ በኢስት በኩል ያሉት ይቀድማሉ ማለት ነው from the west. From the western world, በኢስተርን በኩል ያሉት countries ይቀድማሉ by like time, everything actually. The sun rises in the east before it does in the west. Therefore, the LMT, the local mean time, for the east is always ahead. So you can find, so እዚህ ጋር as you can see that, see rotation ያለው from west to east ነው. The places east of the prime meridian see the sun at the same time, and the places west of the meridian see the sun at the same time too, but the two of them don't see it at the same time, right? ከዛ በተጨማሪ ደግሞ the east is ahead, በዚህኛው በኩል ያሉት are ahead of time than the west ማለት ነው. So ለዛሬ ያለኝ lesson ይሄ ነው. And if you have any questions, any doubts, you can comment them down below and I will answer them. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching our video. Make sure to subscribe to our channel. And that is it for today. Thank you guys. Bye.